Welcome to episode 4 of Confessions of a Good Teacher. And indeed, I am a good teacher. Alright, so today I want to share with you some points to consider when choosing a school for your child or children, right? And as parents, we want the best for our children. There is no doubt about that, absolutely no doubt. We want what is best for them. We want all the things for them that we never had. We want them to go to the best schools, and if it is that we are sending our children to various schools, sending them away from our home for at least 8 hours per day, it should be that we consider these things which are critical in our decision making for them to go to a particular school. All right, so one, of course, we know we're going to decide on a school because of the performance levels. So how do they perform amongst other schools? And we know the ratings, but we don't worry about the ratings, right? Because wherever the children are bloom, they can be planted, or wherever they're planted, they bloom. Where you go? Bloom where you planted. Of course, I was right. Right. So the children are expected to bloom where they are planted. There's no doubt about that. So we're not necessarily worried about the ranking, right? Wherever your child goes to school, your child can perform and there can be teachers there who help them to discover their God given potentials and work with them, right? So let me not be in a hurry. Your child is going to a school now, currently, your child is attending a school. How is it that you decided that your child should attend that school? What made you decide that your child should attend that school? All right, so earlier I went to my children's Christmas recital. It was very good. It was funny, nostalgic for me because it just brought me back to my many years of performing Mary and a Baby and all of that, right? If you don't celebrate Christmas, that's fine. Good. And while I was there, though, I was such a proud parent. I've been a proud parent, but just being there with all the other parents and just watching the children, especially your child being outstanding, I was very proud. And God would have it that the MC asked for somebody to come to give, share what they liked about the school, giving the school props. And I'm telling you, listen, I did not plan to, but I went to share, and it turned into a whole testimony session. Listen, tambourine, holiday offering, all of that. It turned into a whole testimony session because I really had to share what was on my heart. Good. And I'm sharing this to for perspective, or for background. What's that? Don't know what that is. I'll check that when I'm done. Sorry about that. There's no technical crew here. My technical person is not assisting me today. She's not well, so I'm doing this alone. All right, let's get down to business. My children attended a school. Long story short, they attended a school, and I knew in my heart from the moment I went through the gates, or the moment I went through the gates, I knew that it was not a good decision, especially spiritually, for my children, right? So I may have to make a part 2 for this because of the background, information as it relates to my children. So those who know me would know their story and would understand why I have to be so particular about everything for them. Not that I'm saying other parents are not particular, but because of what the Lord would have placed in them, because of the purpose, because of their purpose, I have to be very careful of what I do, of what Daddy does. Good? All right. So we brought them to a school. They went there for a year. Last year, it was horrible, right? And we're not bashing schools on here, so I won't call names or anything like that. But for the year, I struggled with anxiety because every single morning when I drop them off, or when Daddy drops them off, or when I have to leave them, it's like I know that, and I never spoke negativity, right? But I knew where I was sending my children. I knew to whom I was sending the children. And I was like, why would you do that? Why would you put your children in such a position where you have to be worried about them all day, right? So they weren't being abused. It's not even that. It's difficult. It was very difficult, right? They weren't loved. And I know it might sound very strange to some persons that, how is it you want the children to go to somewhere that they're loved? Yes, it is. It's quite important, right? And I'm going to give you my 5 things to consider when you're sending your children to school. So back to my story. The children were not loved. I never sensed that. I never saw that. Never had any evidence that my children were loved or cared for. They were in a place that nurtured them, that nurtured their gifts. I just never felt that they were loved, that they were, seen as individual beings, etc. And so I had a difficult year there. Like, I had a very difficult year there. And my children, they're very active. And so I know that. I am aware of that. So that's not an issue for me if a teacher says to me, oh, mommy, don't send any juice today, or don't send any juice tomorrow, or, you need to help us to get them settled. It's none of those things. It wasn't necessarily the behavioral issues or, them helping to reinforce positive behaviors. It was more of a spiritual issue. Like, everything just felt dark there. And sometimes you can discern that something is wrong, but you can't clearly tell what it is. It was more of that experience for me at the beginning, and as the year progressed, it got worse. And I thought I was going crazy. I thought, probably it's just you. And then I met other parents who had the same concerns, like, something's not right, something's not right. And I don't know if I'm explaining it properly. I don't know if it's making sense. But it was very heavy, and my children would come home and they would express various things, negative things that people would say to them, and I'm like, why would you say that to a child, to my child, and so I'm sharing that to say, when we made the decision to send them to that particular institution, I really can't recall us consulting the Lord. I really can't recall us saying, God, is this where the children are supposed to go? And that's something that we practice. Every single thing about our lives, we ask the Lord, we ask His opinion, we ask Him, what's the instruction, what's the direction that we're supposed to take. For some reason, we fumbled the bag, right? And it was a case of, it was just, everything just felt so hurried. And you see, I know that from experience, once anything is being done in a hurry, it's not God, it's not me and Him, because I've had that experience and He has taught me. You don't need to be in a hurry to make any decision at all. Anything that I'm doing for you or with you, there's no hurry, And so we made the decision in a hurry. And it's like, it never sat well with me, but we made the decision. We're like, all right, let's just do this. And we sent them, right? And I knew I put my children in spiritual trouble. That was a big thing. That's the biggest thing. I put my children in spiritual trouble. Anyway, fast forward, they graduated. Jesus, they left. It never bothered me what it was like. I just needed them out of there. Good, because it would have made no sense to pull them in the January, even though that I'm thinking about it, in hindsight, I probably should have just shut my eyes and just be like, y'all not going back January. But I didn't, right? The year ended, 2022, in 2023, it's this year. And I made sure I went into prayer. We went into prayer. And I said, okay, I no need for them to go to another school. They're not being homeschooled. They're not with me. I need them to attend school, right? And I don't want to make the same mistake that I made last year. I don't want us to make that mistake. So we're going to pray about it. So one, of course, when you're sending your children to a particular institution, to a school, one, you want to think of the environment, just the physical structure of the school. What are the grounds like? What are the buildings like? What are the classrooms like? And don't be afraid to ask for a tour. Like, don't care, ask for a tour. Can I see inside, please? Right? If you want to ask other parents who have children there, ask them what it looks like, what it's like, right? So check the grounds, check the environs. Is that somewhere that you would want your child to go? Is that somewhere that would be safe? That's number one. Two, of course, you want your child to attend a school that is performing, that the teachers have sense. The teachers are doing what they're supposed to be doing, right? The standards there are like all the way up there, right? Because performance is important. It's not the end all, but it's important. So the performance level of the school, right, or the achievements of the school, you want to check all of those things, right? And then when I say performance, I don't mean just academically, because I want well-rounded children. God has given them to me to raise, to nurture, and I am going to ensure that my sons, that's what we're working on. They're going to be well-rounded children. So you want to know, what are the extracurricular activities that the school has. How will the children be nurtured other than the academics, because we focus so much on the academics and we would not even understand that whatever they're learning is a lot of the content that they're learning, they can learn it anytime at all. That's why there's YouTube, that's why there is Google, that's why there are other people who have the information. They can get it. There are so many sources for information now. You may not even need to go to school for content. Do not misquote me, for content, right? So you want well-rounded children. So what are the performance levels of the institution? What are their achievements? What were they when they started out? What was it like? What's their history? That's very important. Good. And that's still not the most important thing. Number 3, you want to consider cost. If you can't don't put your basket where you can't reach it. If it's too expensive and it's not worth it, because listen, it can be very, very expensive and worth every single penny. So if it's too expensive and it's not worth it, just don't go. Talk to a parent who has a child going there and you get all the information that you need, right? So consider the cost. Good. Number 4, I think I'm at 4, right? So number 4 is, what are your desires for your children? What do you know about your child? How is your child performing, academically, physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally? So how is your child's development? What level is your child at, right? Is your child ready to take on such an environment, right? Because it wouldn't make any sense to put a child in a high performance environment and then the child suffers, the child struggles, right? So not because your friends have children going there, not because your other child went there. What is best for your child, right? So if it is that you are aware of your child's developmental stage, then it is a little easier to make that decision. You see, especially if they're transitioning, speak to the teacher that they have now so that they can advise you in making a decision going transitioning to whether primary level, secondary level, college, etc. Good. So the 5th one, this is the most important one, and this is what I wanted to get to, which is why I brought up my experience before. The 5th one, where did God say the children should go? Where did God himself indicate to you, instructed you that the children should go for school? That's the most important thing, because he knows all, he sees all, and so he knows the kind of experiences that a child is gonna have at a particular institution. He knows who works there. You don't know. And so when we take our children from their warm beds in the morning and we get them ready and we usher them out to school, somebody else has our children for 8-9 hours for the day. And so you want to know that your child is safe. You want to know that your child is being nurtured, your child is being loved. I never had that security when they were attending the particular institution, right? I never had that. And I'm telling you, the anxiety that I struggled with for the entire year, it was unbearable. It was, and it would sound like I'm complaining or like I regretted my decision. I did. And I had to confess it. I had to say, hey, you blundered, because you never asked God which school the children should attend. Where should they go next? All right, let me give you an example. When they were going to attend their first or second daycare / preschool, I remember we were looking for schools in Kingston, and we were driving one morning, and well, of course we're looking to different schools, doing interviews, the various things, right? And one morning we were driving to my old workplace, and on my way downtown, or to the east, wherever that was, on my way, I passed what looked like a school. So the wall had the letters of the alphabet, etc. And I said to my husband, I just passed. I think we just passed a school right there. And the Lord said to me that we need to stop and go back there. So I said that to him. I said, the Lord said to stop and go back to the school. And he's like, yeah, but we passed it already. And I'm like, yeah, but let's just be obedient. And he's like, true. We know what we're supposed to do. Let's be obedient. And he went back. And when we went, we pulled up, came out of the car. This is me on my way to work in the morning at like 7 o'clock. And when we pulled up and came out of the car, we saw that it was an actual school, and we looked in the yard, right? And in the yard were like a lot of children, just a lot of children, and they were just huddled together. And I was like, okay, is there no adult out here with these children? Anyway, I went a little closer to the gate, and when I listened keenly, I realized that there was an adult sitting there, all the children surrounding her. She was praying, and the children were just standing there with her. And she said to me, "Hi, mommy, good morning, you can come in." And I was like, "Me?" She says, "Yeah, man, you can come in." And the Lord said to me, "This is where they're supposed to come. This is where they're supposed to come, because the coverage is here. This is where they're supposed to come." And he just started downloading in me the various things that they would benefit from here. Mind you, the building was not buildinging. Can I do that? I will not practice that new habit. But the building, it wasn't dilapidated or anything, but it was not necessarily the best, and the schoolyard wasn't perfect. But I tell you, I sensed that in terms of their spiritual growth, these children, oh, they would be nurtured. These children would be bold and fearless and know the scriptures and know about God and know God's love and experience Christ's love, while they're at the institution. And immediately when we spoke, like, I can't even get in the details, but after I spoke to that lady, we're like, this is it. Went home, prayed, and the Lord made sure to say to us, that's it. And the next morning we took the children. And when we picked them up in the evening, of course I cried, because I don't know, when I came, they combed my children's hair, and I was struggling to comb their hair. They combed their hair for me, and they were just loving on them, but they love on all the children, and that is what we want. You want people who are going to treat them as your very own. And if you know me, you know that every child that comes in front of me, every child that comes in contact with me, they're like my very own. I treat them like my very own. So I expect that when my children go to a school, my children go to a daycare, they're going to be treated like, mommy and daddy is close by, right? Not because you're watching, not because you think a parent is going to report it, but you're genuinely loving on somebody's children, nurturing them, blessing them, telling them good things, speaking positive things over them, and not the negative things, that are clouding your mind and in your little evil heart. Anyway, let me not miss sidetrack. And so we sent them to that institution, and they went there for a good while until they had to leave. And, so when I made that decision quickly last year, when we made that decision, I keep saying it's a we thing. We knew it was wrong. We knew we fumbled, and we just had to suffer it. And I'm telling you, I felt like, God, please forgive me. Disobedience is a serious matter. And so, got through the year. Now they're at this new school, and the first day we went on the campus, when we went there, we were talking to one of the aunties. So one of the aunties that's in charge, right? She's been teaching for years. Very experienced, very poised, very mannerable, just wonderful. She's such a lady. And we're talking to her, but for me, I'm very observant, so my head is on a swivel. I'm looking at everything. I'm listening to how the teachers are talking to the students who are in summer school, and I'm just on game, because now I don't want to make the same mistake. Even though the Lord said this is where, I'm like, my own thoughts can speak to me. I can speak to myself. Satan can tell me things. I want to make sure we're doing the right thing. And when we went there, she was talking to Daddy and I. She was talking to us, and she was telling us, the plan for them. And my children are fighting. They were messing with each other. And I observed her that she kept eye contact with us. And she walked towards my boys, and she just touched one of them on the shoulder, and she just hugged him, and she said, "Come baby, come grandma baby," or something like that. She said, "Come auntie baby." I think she said auntie or grandma, whichever one she said. But she said, "Come my baby, not mine, not mine." And she was just patting him on the shoulder like that. And for the entire 30 minutes of the conversation, those two boys were separated, and she kept saying to them, "Be nice, remember to say nice things to each other, remember we're kind, remember Jesus likes kindness." Those were the things, right? And my heart was just melting. I was like, okay, Lord, I get it. This is where they're supposed to come. And I would have had other experiences throughout those weeks that confirmed to me that this place It's where they're supposed to be, because they're going to be loved, they're going to be cared for, right? They're going to be nurtured. Their different gifts and talents are going to be brought forward, because now they are going to be, well, I mean, there are like 10 or 12 of them in their class. So we know that that's how it goes, at private schools. Like, class is small. The class sizes are supposed to be small. I don't know why I'm in a hurry tonight. The class sizes are supposed to be so, because the class sizes are small, then they're able to focus on the children. And I know that not all of us are able to send our children to certain schools, in terms of the class size. I know that, and I know that there are primary schools that and high schools, like my school, that have like 30 odd children, 40 odd children in a class. I hear of one school that has 50 odd students in the class, but believe me, they're learning, and that teacher, she's working, they're working on the children, and each child is being attended to. So for me, I am a proud parent. I'm very happy I was obedient, and that's what I was sharing with the other parents tonight at the concert, that I am very happy that I was obedient, because what the Lord has deposited in my children, the vision that He has for them, the life that He has for them to live, if He tarries, they need to be nurtured now at a particular school, and it's a Christian institution, So when I watch them tonight, just repeating the scriptures with all the other children, and just being children who are passionate about the Lord, and who are not afraid to talk about Jesus and those kind of things, I was like, all right, obedience looks good on me, kind of a thing. So if you're going to send your children to school, it's not too late to pull them out. Do not send them to schools that are going to treat your children badly, and then they pretend when they see you, hi mommy, hi daddy, but yet when you're not there, the children are not treated very well, right? You're not necessarily gonna know that, which is why you're supposed to pray about it, which is why you are supposed to allow the Lord to give you instructions, to give you direction. Where should you send the child, right? So many of us have the children struggling. They're at other schools, struggling even behaviorally. The children they're so fed up, they're so annoyed, they don't want to go. The kind of friends that they have just make them even more frustrated, right? They're being bullied. So many things are happening to them, because in the first place, they're not supposed to be there. They were not supposed to be at that institution. Now, wherever your child is going to school, who gave you instructions that the child should attend that school? For whatever reason, whether because the school is high performing, because everybody goes to that school, it's popular, is that a good enough reason? What did God say to you? What did He say to you about the child that you have, or about the children that you have raising? What did He instruct you to do? Where did He say to send your child or children to? Where? Because it's not just a place of learning. It's not just a place of learning the academics, right? It's way more than that. And if in this 2023, if your child or children, if they're not being nurtured right now spiritually, you're in trouble, because the world is in trouble. And if it is, you're not gonna always be here, and our children need to be built right now, right? The core needs to be built. They need to have full knowledge of who God is. They need to grow a conscience. They need to know the scriptures. They need to know that they're living in the time where the word of God is being fulfilled, prophecy is being fulfilled. And so where are you going to send them to get that done? You're going to send them to a school that there's no devotion, that nobody prioritizes devotion, that nobody prioritizes being praying for the children, that the staff is being prayed for, that the guidance counselors know Jesus. The devil can't counsel your children. How is it that we can have the devil praying for our children, or people who are workers of iniquity and workers of darkness, and are from the kingdom of darkness, praying for our children, counseling our children? That's absolutely ludicrous. And so teachers, and I mean, we know that there are teachers who they haven't given their heart fully to the Lord as it is, but the Lord is working on them. You want it. The point is, send your children to an institution where they're going to tell them about Jesus. They're going to nurture them in the ways of the Lord. And while they're getting their academics, up, all the other things are being developed too. Because it's not just about the academic stuff. It's not just about the content, It's about their spiritual, emotional, and psychological growth as well, and their physical. And so if you have made an error, if you have blundered, if you have fumbled the bag, like I did last year, but I'm on my game now. But if you have really made a decision that is not in the best interest of your child, based on the will of the Lord for their lives, you may need to pray about it, seek the Lord again, repent on behalf of yourself, your family, your children, your spouse, and make the correct decision. Allow the Lord to give you instructions as to where your child should be cared for, or what school your child should attend. That's it. Bye. See you on the next episode of Confessions of a Good Teacher. I'm Erica Tomo. Bye.